Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer today. Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope your guys' weekend is going well. We are going to be doing the astro weather for the next week for the dates of May 19th through the 26th, 2024. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Click the bell button below so that way you're alerted as to when we have new videos coming out. And leave me a comment below and let me know how you guys are feeling with this week's astro weather. To be honest with you, this Venus-Jupiter conjunction is awfully sweet. I think it's bringing in lots of hidden blessings for everyone in the week ahead. So we've got a lot going on. As you guys are watching, if you're watching on Sunday the 19th, we are actually beginning this astro weather with Mars in conjunction with the North Node. Just a reminder, guys, I do talk about this in my May horoscopes. I also put out a video for you guys last week all about this conjunction and how to make the most of this intense energy. But the time is now when Mars is meeting with the North Node. You guys don't want to sleep on this once in every 19-year transit. An amazing time to really kind of ignite something, begin something new, plant new seeds, and take action. So make sure you guys are staying active this Sunday. You're not just resting and recuperating. We actually want to stay busy. And then two, we are also going to be seeing, and this is really what I will take you guys through at the end of the video. If you guys stay tuned, I'll talk about the Venus-Jupiter conjunction for all the 12 rising signs. Extra sweet, right? We've got Venus in her domicile, hanging out in Taurus, meeting with Jupiter. You know, Jupiter and Venus meet once a year, but having Venus in her domicile, I think, is going to be all that much more sweeter. And that's also going to be packaged in with a full moon in Sagittarius. So we'll be seeing that this week, helping us all be a little bit more adventurous and optimistic. Certainly we could really use the positive energy of this full moon in Sagittarius, and with the ruler being in conjunction to Jupiter, I think many people are going to be receiving some hidden blessings unexpectedly that might be hitting right around the time of the full moon. We're going to be seeing the Sun, Venus, and Jupiter all move into the sign of Gemini this week. So if you happen to be a Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising, personal placements, especially within the first 5 degrees or so, this is an amazing week for you. All of these ingresses that are going to be moving into Gemini is helping all of us learn, explore, and communicate in new ways. This will be big moves for tech, obviously, because Jupiter expanding Gemini, which is about gadgets, computers, cell phones, vehicles, I think is going to have tech definitely kind of out in the news, especially with some of those trines to Pluto. Big moves for language as well as education. So I encourage you guys, you know, in this next week and really in this next year, because Jupiter will be in Gemini for the next year, get out and talk to people. Go for a walk, interact in your neighborhood, talk to your neighbors, learn from other people, maybe pick up a new book or a new podcast. We want to learn something new while Jupiter is in Gemini. And we'll really, I think, enjoy it a little bit more with the Sun and Venus moving through the sign at the same time. Now, like I said, we'll see some powerful trines to Pluto. So as planets are in the early degrees of Gemini, it will be trining Pluto in Aquarius, which is now retrograde, giving us all of the opportunities, I think, to see where there can be strength in numbers, right? Pluto is about power. Aquarius is about the future. It is about the collective. It is about coming together and networking. So it's a very powerful networking week if you've been wanting to reach out to somebody, collaborate, connect, send an email. And I think this is also going to be wonderful for team building exercises, sharing our ideas with other people, and contributing to the collective. So very powerful communication week on top with some of those trines. And then finally, we will see some very interesting anaretic degrees that are going to be playing out this week. So this is kind of symbolizing that there's going to be some major turning points for specific signs and planets. Now, I'll touch on that as we go through the week, but essentially when we're dealing with anaretic degrees, this is when a planet hits 29 degrees. So it's at that tipping point where it's kind of completing whatever it's been working on in that particular sign. Remember, the sign is how the energy is expressed, and the planet's going to give you the theme. But yeah, 29 degrees is a critical point in astrology, both in transit as well as in a natal chart, because it does indicate that tipping point right before a planet is about to transition into the next sign. So it creates this feeling of urgency, kind of like now or never. And it also has a feeling of intensity, and it's going to be peak energy for that particular planet and sign. Oftentimes I feel like energetic degrees are associated with a feeling of completion or a need to master something before moving on to the next sign. This can also be about karmic things that are playing out, because 29 has connections and associations with Saturn. So it can be about mastering an energy. But for some people, and out in the world, we can kind of see this with the astrology as well, it can indicate a time of crisis or a significant turning point in one's life. Now we see, you know, Mercury and the Sun and, you know, other planets like Venus and Mars hit these degrees fairly often. But when we see outer planets that hit this, like Jupiter and Neptune this week, I think it's going to add a little bit more pizzazz to what's going on out in the cosmos. So watch for that as well, especially if you have any particular placements around 29 degrees of Pisces and Taurus. These are the ones that are going to be hit the most with that Jupiter and Neptune move to 29 degrees. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the week ahead. We're going to break this down day by day. So it's a wonderful time to grab your natal chart, maybe pull it up on an app, take some notes, pull out your calendar, so that way you know what to plan for the week ahead. We're going to start with today, Sunday, the 19th of May. Happy Sunday to all my Sunday crew. Hope you guys are doing well, enjoying your tea and your coffee and you're hanging out. Definitely a pretty active day on tap, guys. You know, as we wake up today on Sunday, the moon is hanging out in the sign of Libra. So when the moon's in Libra, we're focused on relationships, partnerships, harmony, right? Being with or around other people. But we've got some major turning points, because we've got planets connecting with the South Node and planets connecting with the North Node. So we know that the South Node kind of represents that kind of collective undoing. It's what we can tap into, what's yummy karmically that we kind of know from the past, but it can also represent this point of undoing and what we need to move away from and what we're letting go of. The moon is associated with the North and the South Node. So when we see the moon making aspects like a conjunction to one of the nodes or a square, there is definitely something kind of going on karmically. And then in polarity to that, we've got Mars connecting with the North Node. So today into tonight is going to be some very interesting astrology. I have observed when the moon has been going through Libra and hitting the South Node, there is more relationship turbulence. There is this sense of realizing and recognizing, ooh, this isn't really feeling good, or there's some emotional disturbances in relationships, or we're reflecting on the past or thinking about ways that we need to kind of grow more so into the relationship with ourselves, right? North Node and Aries. Then becoming, you know, complacent, indecisive, kind of lazy, or just status quo when it comes to existing friendships, relationships, partnerships in our life. The South Node moon can also bring up moods, okay? So if you have the moon conjunct the South Node natally, or maybe you're experiencing that transit right now as a Libra moon, you know that there are changes going on for you emotionally. There's kind of ebbs and flows with your emotions, and also changes in your relationship life or changes in your home life that you've been experiencing. Well, the beauty of the North and the South Node is that they're collective. So we don't have to have that placement in our natal chart to really feel this experience as the moon connects with the South Node. This is spelling out some relationship turbulence, issues being able to relate to other people, feeling like we need to break away from old emotional patterning when it comes to being too reliant on others. And then when we have that moon opposing Mars, right? Some of this relationship conflict actually can be stemming from the fact that we're becoming more self-sufficient. We're becoming more impatient. We have new goals. We have new things that we want to activate and achieve and get done. And there may be this sense of awareness today into tonight and tomorrow that's like, you know what? I can't wait for other people to kind of get their act together. I can't wait for other people to choose me. I can't wait for other people to kind of get themselves in order. I need to put myself first. And that's very much that kind of archetype of Aries of what do I need to do? What is this instinctual knowing of where I need to go or what I'm trying to achieve? So kind of complex astrology, but just know that there is this back and forth between the past and where we've become too comfortable, maybe being emotionally, physically attached, maybe we're reminiscing too much, or just kind of marinating on the past so much that it's inhibiting us from being able to go forward. And then on the flip side, that Mars North Node conjunction, which has been building for the last couple of days, it's going to be taking place today into tomorrow, is saying now is the time to get into action. What do I want? What are my goals? What am I going after? At 14 degrees, it's a Taurus degree. So it's what do I need for safety and security? What do I need when it comes to resources? What do I possess? How can I achieve more financial success or growth? Or how can I have more control over, my destiny when it comes to the money that I'm making or what I'm accumulating? So we can see some friction in relationships, quite literally over money. What a spouse is spending, what we are not sharing. We can see stuff that's coming up also over conflict because of difference of opinion about money and resources and values as well. So when Mars is conjunct the North Node, it's going to make Mars feel like it's on steroids. So the positive is that we can have this feeling of having a fire underneath us that's really pushing us to achieve something new and get out of our comfort zone. The difficult side of the Mars North Node conjunction is that it can be combative. It can also be extremely impatient. We can be very hot-headed. So if we are tapping into that energy and we don't have an outlet for it, it can definitely create some friction in relationships. So that's brewing like as you guys are watching this right now. You could have started seeing some friction that was starting last night. And truth be told, it's going to run all day until the moon starts to separate not only from the conjunction to the South Node, but also the opposition to Chiron. So we can actually see where we're pushing people away or keeping other people from being able to relate to us, or missed relationship or partnership opportunities because we're not doing our own healing. We're not, aware of some things that we haven't taken care of within ourselves. So that's kind of out in the world. Expect there to be emotional clearing with the moon South Node. Also expect to feel some kind of pressure outside of yourself from other people, because oppositions are relational. So there can be this sense of changes in relationships, releasing of karma of some kind. Mars with the North Node is going to make us very intense, very passionate, very independent, but also a little restless. And so if we're kind of feeling like, there's something I want to get out and do today, I'm waiting forever for, my friend to get ready and they're lagging. And then I decide, I'm not picking them up, I'll meet you there. These are the kind of things that can kind of come up that can cause some relational issues. On the other hand, the other thing that I think about is that this is such a dynamic period for personal growth and development. So if you guys caught my video on the Mars North Node conjunction, I talked about how it's played out throughout history, like the last 100 years or so, and how it's always been this seated moment where it's been about standing up, protecting, or taking some kind of action, mostly out in the world in a military sense. But for you guys personally, this can be this moment where you're taking decisive steps forward. You're becoming more active when it comes to the area of Aries in your chart. So you have to look at what house that's in. That's going to show you where you're kind of pursuing your passions with courage and determination, hopefully staying a little bit more physically active, burning off some steam so you're not burning bridges throughout this transit. But definitely burning bridges is going to be a theme for some people. Just because of that moon South Node conjunction. Watch where other people are trying to get your goat as well. That can definitely happen with the moon opposed Mars, because there can be a sense of other people, being indecisive or, taking their time or going back and forth because that moon South Node in Libra is very imbalanced. There can be this sense of, swinging back and forth, and then we're like, you know what, you're not making the decision, I'm making the decision, right? It's about really kind of getting into the driver's seat and being like, I'm really focusing on what I'm doing versus basing everything off of another person. Can this present challenges? Yes, but I feel like if we are able to utilize this energy in a positive way, we can use it constructively and ensure that our actions are aligning with some of our long-term goals and values. So think about today, tomorrow, you know, even into like Tuesday. What are you doing for yourself outside of relationships with other people? Now, something else that you're going to see is that we are now starting to separate from the Sun-Jupiter conjunction that was happening yesterday. It still feels very sweet, but we're now starting to see the Sun come into a sextile with Neptune. So you guys heard me talk about the anaretic degrees, right? 29, 29. We'll see the moon hit 29 as well tomorrow. Basically, the sextile is a friendly aspect. It's going to be an aspect that's going to be blending the energies of, you know, Neptune and Pisces, which can be dreamy, creative, inspirational, spiritual, with the Sun in Taurus, which is very physical, and it's about resources and kind of like the body. I feel like with this particular aspect of the sextile, you know, it's going to increase intuition. It's going to open up our imagination. It's going to help us kind of tap into our intuition a little bit better. So if you're wanting to find practical ways to be able to exercise psychic development skills, meditation, practicing divination, it's a great time to do that. And I feel like the Sun in Taurus is incredibly grounded, very stable, and really helping us have a solid ground beneath us when it comes to making plans and strategizing based off of our intuition, our dreams, or our visions. So yeah, practicing divination. This is a great time for visualization exercises. This is a great time also to be doing some kind of vision boarding or something that's about building something in a physical sense and making your dreams kind of come to life. I encourage you to visualize what it is you would like to build today and get inspired. You know, Neptune can be music, painting, dance, drawing. It can be, you know, film. Anything that is going to be about art and illusion and inspiration. So you might see a photo that inspires you today. You're maybe watching a movie that kind of some amazing, you know, idea kind of pops into your mind and you're like, you know what, I want to do something similar to that. And 29s aren't just that connection to Saturn. They're also this connection to Leo, which is about the heart's desire. It's about romance and creativity and also kind of tapping into our inner artist or our inner child. So this is a very creative day that we have, you know, and especially with that moon in Libra, even outside of the South Node conjunction, I could see that it's playing off of Venus in its domicile, which basically means we're all feeling a little indulgent. We're all, you know, really focusing on the sweet side of life, of resources and abundance and sensuality. It is possible that with the South Node moon connection that there is reflecting on past relationships, we're reflecting on heartbreak or things that are kind of falling apart. And it almost serves as like a, it almost serves as like a muse for inspiration for something that we create, right? Like some of the best albums come from like breakups and broken hearts. So I could see some people really taking the opportunity with the sextile today, feeling very inspired and maybe tapping into some of the more somber, can be kind of sad, isolated energies of Neptune and saying, you know what, I'm going to make lemonade. I'm going to paint something. I'm going to write something. I'm going to draw something. So it can be really great for those of you guys who are inspired and also going through some turbulence in your relationships. All right, so we're going to see that moon come into conjunction with the South Node this morning. That's going to be happening depending on where you are. You know, so I'm on Central Time, so it's going to be right around like 10:30, 10:45. For other people, it's going to be a little bit earlier in the Pacific Coast and a little bit later, closer to midday for those of you guys who are on the East Coast time. But watch this, because this conjunction with the South Node is exact as it's opposing the Mars North Node connection. I remember saying in a previous video to you guys that the 14, 15 degrees correlates, and it has throughout history, with several charts that go hand in hand with assassination attempts. And I think I said this to you like over a week ago, and then go figure, we just saw in this last week that happened. I can't remember what country it was now. I'm slipping my mind. Somebody will say it in the comments, but yeah, we saw somebody whose prime minister was shot, and as I'm filming this, they say he's in stable condition. I'm wondering if there's going to be more information that's coming out about this, but it was interesting to see that particular degree really get activated, like it actually happened. And I don't know where the moon was when it happened, but I was thinking it was going to be closer to this particular transit, but it happened a little bit sooner, but the South Node was at that degree. Anyway, I'm wondering if there's going to be more news about this. You know, Mars is about weapons and conflict and attacks and anything pertaining to like military stuff or snipers or things like that. And this may be some kind of, you know, a public reaction or backlash or, you know, this, you know, getting headlines or more news. Coincidentally, the prime minister who was shot just recently came out very much anti against the pandemic treaty that's going around, that's supposedly going to be finished up here by the end of May. So there's a number of nations that are signing on for this. There are also just a small handful of nations that are actually rejecting the World Pandemic Treaty. It's been renamed several times. Go and look into it if you don't know about it. Really interesting stuff. But I found that was really interesting, and I'm wondering if there's going to be more kind of putting the pieces together with this transit that's happening today, where people are starting to realize that there can be some kind of connection. Very similar to what happened, I think it was like the one of the Japanese prime ministers also, I think, had a similar situation that was very much anti some of those movements. And we also saw an attempt there. So, you know, kind of connecting the dots makes me wonder if there's some similarities. Anyway, still, we can see similar things that can happen with this particular degree that's getting activated with the opposition to Mars. All right, so it looks like then we're going to start to see later today, the moon will begin its opposition to Chiron. So it's like there can be some back and forth friction with relationships on Sunday. And then as we get into the evening, when the moon is starting to oppose Chiron, there is this feeling of, you know, being wounded and finding it difficult to relate to someone. And maybe there was a little bit of a spat earlier in the day. Now, you know, there's a sense of taking space and kind of like needing, you know, some time away from one another. I think of like the sun sextile Neptune and like where we can get really grounded when we're in a meditative state, or we're taking time to be alone in nature, or, you know, we're getting some rest, or we're just kind of chilling out a little bit and not really fanning the flames of some of this intensity with the moon Mars opposition. You know, it does seem to me like all day that tensions can be a little high here, even in spite of having, you know, Venus in her home sign and the conjunction to Jupiter. I think this may throw a number of people for a bit of a loop with that opposition, especially with the moon coming into a square with Ceres and opposing Chiron. It can mean that there are some long-standing issues that are about coming together and going apart, or power and control issues. Obviously, Ceres is in the sign of Capricorn, but this can also be about you know, having major changes in mood and like where, you know, disruptions in relationships and things that you've been dealing with for long periods of time can actually be bringing up issues pertaining to separation, isolation, depression. After all, Ceres was known for, you know, being separated from, you know, her daughter, and that effect that it had on the seasons. Could it be that, you know, people are kind of coming out of some of their seasonal funks as well? Maybe, you know, we might be seeing that that's like the change that we're starting to see, where now that the, you know, the summer months are coming and we're kind of coming out of spring, that people are finding that that's lifting, and now they're feeling more likely, like, you know, to get out and about. Maybe that's possible as well. So we'll see the moon continue to move through Libra into the PM hours tonight. That's going to take us to Monday the 20th. And when we wake up in the morning, the moon is still in Libra. We will see an ingress that's going to happen into Scorpio a little bit later in the day. I do feel like something to take into consideration is that, you know, Venus being the ruler of the moon, and it's coming into conjunction with Jupiter, does make me feel a little bit more positive and optimistic about Monday, that it's going to be better for relating. Granted, we do have, you know, the sun and Neptune in these late degrees, so things can feel kind of critical. And it's going to be a decent time until the moon kind of drops into Scorpio. So if we watch this, it looks like the moon's going to come into Scorpio, and that's going to be closer to the PM hours. And when the moon moves into Scorpio, we're immediately going to start feeling the Mars North Node conjunction again, because, you know, Mars rules Scorpio. And something that you're going to notice kind of like Monday into Tuesday is that there is going to be a couple of things. One is, you know, the sun and the moon off the bat are going to immediately quincunx one another. So we've got the sun at 0 degrees, we've got the moon at 0 degrees, and the quincunx or the inconjunct is like the great eliminator aspect. Sun in Gemini wants to move around, communicate, and share. It's very external. It's very chatty. That moon in Scorpio is passionate, intense, private, and it needs its space. So there's some conflicting energies that are kind of pulling in two different directions here with that sun and moon ingress. When the sun is in Gemini, we're very much focused on what's going on with Mercury because Mercury rules Gemini. Mercury is still moving through Taurus where it's sweet and it's taking its time. But we're going to see Monday night going into Tuesday morning that there is going to be a building fixed T-square where the moon in Scorpio is going to start coming into a square with Pluto on Monday night where tensions are high, emotions can get a little testy, we can feel under the gun or pressured in some way. Moon in Scorpio is all about adapting, changing, transforming, purging, moving through some heavier energies. And that moon is going to start coming into an opposition with Mercury. So Monday night into Tuesday can be some difficult territory for communication. I do think something else that I would watch. Let's see, I'll show it to you guys. So in the PM hours, the moon's going to square Pluto. It looks like that's going to happen later in the PM hours. And then when we wake up on the 21st, so this is Tuesday, we are actually waking up to the moon in opposition to Mercury, okay? So for those of you guys who are like commuting in the morning on Tuesday, you know, moon, it moves very quickly. Every 2.5 days it changes. It does create events and oppositions are out of our control. Usually it involves other people. Taurus and Scorpio, they are financial signs. It deals with money that we have versus what's going on with taxes or debt or what's going on with change of resources. So likely with the moon in opposition to Mercury, there is going to be some intense financial conversations, financial news, economic troubles, things kind of going on out in the world that's triggering people. Now the moon is about emotions and how we're feeling kind of beneath the surface. Mercury, on the other hand, is about business, communications, right? It is about transactions. It's about traveling. So, you know, commuting on Tuesday morning can be kind of annoying. We could see that there can be some delays and some setbacks. We could find that, you know, we're getting annoyed that we don't have money for the toll on the way to work, or we're getting agitated because, you know, it's taking a little bit longer to get somewhere, or we're having some difficulty with a GPS or something that's like causing us some kind of frustration. The moon will be coming out of the square with Pluto, but I still consider this a T-square where Pluto is challenging both the moon and Scorpio emotionally, and it's also still challenging Mercury and Taurus from a sense of communications. This is a day that I would be watching what's going on in the financial world because likely there's going to be some news or some things that are kind of brewing that's going to be a little unsettling. The positive, because there is a positive, is that with this sun in Gemini, over the next couple of days, it will be building into a trine with Pluto. So this is really going to be telling us there's an opportunity for us to change, transform, you know, have some kind of significant power. But we have to channel the energy of Gemini and Aquarius. These are air signs. It's about communication, learning, sharing, you know, relating and socializing to one another. So when things get uncomfortable, you know, it's important to be able to speak up, communicate, and share. Take your time when it comes to commuting on Monday morning. I wouldn't be planning any meetings. I wouldn't be planning any trips or anything like that because we can see some plans can get a little jumbled because of that square. All right, so now we're going to take this into later on the 21st. Not much going on other than the moon in opposition to Mercury. We're going to see a rather unexpected moon for the rest of the day. Now, when we get into Wednesday, the 22nd, all right, we're going to see that moon is still in Scorpio. In the morning hours, it's trining Saturn, so we're feeling a little bit more emotionally solid, reserved, reflective, kind of tapped in. Saturn in Pisces is really helping us pay attention to our intuition. But we will see this moon here make an opposition to Uranus, which is kind of unsettling. Uranus in Taurus is about fluctuations with money, resources, or the planet. It could be electrical. It can also be about cryptocurrency stuff. And then we're going to see the moon start to come into an opposition with Venus and Jupiter. So there's a couple different ways that I can see this. One is thankfully on the 22nd, let me show you guys, we will have the sun trine Pluto. Okay, and it's at a 2 actually. So this is interesting because 2s are Taurus degrees. So with the Sun trine Pluto, I see this as like a powerful alignment of will, communication, and networking. Excellent day for making allies that want to work together or collaborate in some way. Powerful day for information and going deep. Sun in Gemini wants to highlight meetings, emails, phone calls, text messages. It wants you to initiate a conversation, learn something, pull up a podcast or read a book. When the Sun trines Pluto in Aquarius at a 2, it's like through connections with other people and communication, or something that you read on social media, or something that you receive in an email or in the mail, you're able to have better information, more insight and awareness because of some kind of group that you're connected to. So whether it's a friend that gives you a heads up and a tip about something, whether this is like you're a part of a subscription service that's giving you tips about the stock market and what to pick or where things are going, it pays to kind of be connected to other people with this particular trine. And I do think it's about money and resources, and I think it's going to be about information coming up about potentially the future, because Aquarius is the future when it comes to information, technology, communication, cars, data. I saw something really interesting this last week. I saw a presentation where they were showing like some of the innovations with what's going on with like AI and how that's being brought into translation devices and applications. And they have somebody in real time sitting there speaking in Spanish and somebody who's speaking in English. And they're speaking in their native languages into the app, and in real time it's relaying that, you know, conversation to the other person and translating for them. So they don't even need to speak the same language. You're just waiting basically for it to read it out to you after it's processed what somebody has said in Spanish to English, and then you respond in English, and then it's responding to them in Spanish, and they're carrying on a conversation. Essentially is going to make things like translation a thing of the past. Pretty wild, right? So I think about how these planets that are coming into Gemini is really going to be shining a light and highlighting where there can be some really big moves for software and data and information and gadgets and phones and cars, and the future, because of the trines to Pluto and Aquarius, of potential wealth. And also the power of connection, how this can connect people very quickly. It's reminding me of some of these trines that are kind of coming up. Anyway, as the moon continues to go through Scorpio, you know, it is going to oppose Uranus, where it's going to feel a little destabilized. It is going to oppose Venus, where it's going to have some kind of longing and wanting for something more. Keep in mind also that the moon in Scorpio is building into what will be a full moon in Sagittarius on the 23rd. So it's interesting to see this moon making a ton of aspects between the oppositions to Taurus, where it's yearning for something, and also trines to Neptune, where it's very, very much tapped in and intuitive and aware of what happens next. Pays to communicate on the 22nd, pays to get information from a group source or be involved in a subscription or contribute to something where you can share and help other people feel empowered and also inspired. Now that moon's going to keep going. This is an interesting aspect I was kind of looking at here, because overnight we will see, okay, so it's going to hit the opposition to Uranus in the afternoon. And then overnight, look at this. We've got the moon in Scorpio. So this is going to be May 23rd. So this will be Thursday, very early in the morning. So it's going to be somewhere around, you know, midnight to 3 a.m., depending on like where you are in the United States. If you're watching the United States, other places of the world, this is going to be happening for you guys like in the morning going into the afternoon. But we've got the moon at 29 degrees. We've got Venus at 29 degrees. We've got Jupiter at 29 degrees. We've got Neptune at 29 degrees. Interesting stuff, because essentially this 29 is basically saying something is coming to a completion. And when the moon is making an opposition to Jupiter, this is big emotions, big feelings. This is people reacting pretty wildly or pretty strongly to some news or some significant event that's taking place financially, right, Taurus, out in the world. So watch what's happening very early in the morning on the 23rd into really the whole day. At some point, you know, we have to look at this and go, okay, really significant cycles are ending. The positive is that, Jupiter and Venus coming together at this degree, that baked into a full moon, to me seems pretty indulgent, pretty sweet, pretty romantic, pretty optimistic. I think that it can be, for some people, physical manifestations of things that you've been waiting to kind of come to fruition are finally coming to fruition. Think back to what happened with the new moon in Sagittarius in 2023. Now, 6 months later, we're getting ready to have this full moon ruled by Jupiter with that conjunction to Venus. So I think it's pretty sweet. Probably one of the better full moons all year, to be honest with you. But I also think about how, the moon is not comfortable in Scorpio. It is very intense. It's moving through a Mars and Plutonian sign. The 29 degrees also of Pisces, that Neptune transit, of that being a very critical degree where something is starting to kind of dissolve. It's starting to kind of fall apart. Perhaps with the moon trine Neptune, for some people, it's about increased dreams, intuition that's kind of happening on Wednesday night going into Thursday morning, this feeling of, oh, something's coming, and it can be that we have good feelings about the future. It doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. But I do think that there is something to all of these 29s that it's just, there's too many of them coming up for there not to be something pretty dramatic in our lives changing towards the end of the week. So like I said, Venus is going to come into conjunction with Jupiter. This is a very extravagant day that we're going to have on tap. This is about really relaxing, enjoying, indulging, in all of the finer things. Take time on Thursday to stop and smell the roses. This is a great transit for love. This is a great transit for money as well. That 29 degrees has connections, not just to Saturn, but like I said, also to Leo. So this can very much be about our heart's desire, creative opportunities, romantic opportunities, finding things that really bring us a significant amount of joy. Obviously, this is going to be the sweetest for anybody who's got any particular planetary placements from about, let's say, 28 degrees of Taurus to about 2 degrees of Gemini, because you guys are going to be feeling that conjunction the strongest. Those of you guys ruled by Jupiter, so my Sagittarius and my Pisces risings, you guys are having Venus transit your chart ruler. Pretty sweet for you. Those of you guys ruled by Venus, so my Taurus and my Libra risings, Venus meeting with Jupiter symbolizes that something abundant or some kind of opportunity is kind of coming into your life that can increase something. Jupiter rules things like wisdom, philosophy, travel, belief system, higher education, mentorships, our beliefs, also travel in foreign lands. And Venus rules not just relationships, but money, abundance, and resources. So for certain signs, it's going to be a little bit sweeter than others. But for everybody, I think it's going to be positive because it does seem to signify, well, as we're coming into this full moon in Sagittarius, okay, so that full moon is going to be at, it looks like around 2 degrees of Sag, very early in the morning, at least here in the States, on the 23rd. Full moon in Sagittarius with the moon in Sag, the sun in Gemini. Here we go, another 2 degree. The moon sextiles Pluto, which is powerful. It's optimistic, and the sun trines Pluto. What a beautiful full moon. I mean, I see this also as like something else to take into consideration. So many people are going to be super hyper focused on the Venus-Jupiter conjunction, and I don't want to take away from that, but I'm also looking at the fact that that is sextiling Neptune. And although, sextiles are kind of comfortable, easy angles, I look at this and I go, this is a full moon where those of you guys who have been dreaming big are actually going to see something physically manifest. So, remember how I used the Field of Dreams reference? If you build it, they will come, right? Or if you envision it, it can be built. I think that that's what's going on here, because Taurus is about physical embodiment, brick by brick, stone by stone, what they're able to build and kind of create. And it's all from this master kind of blueprint or plan or vision or dream, right? Neptune and Pisces. So we're getting ready to say goodbye to Jupiter in Taurus. It's been a whole year of this transit. I would be reflecting on what you've built, what you've learned, what you've grown in this last year in the Taurus area of your life. it's possible under the beams of this particular full moon that with this sextile to Neptune, that we are seeing your goals in real time, physically materializing before your very eyes. And it's mystical, it's magical, it's Neptune, right? And it can be something that you are like, this is just too good to believe. This is just like, pinch me. Is this even real, you know? And some of you guys might be asking yourself, what's the catch here? You know, what am I missing? You know, and Sagittarius is positive. This is a sign that is ruled by Jupiter. It's a fire sign. So it has a tendency to think big and expansive and, you know, anything is possible. But there's a lot of stuff here that seems to kind of indicate, I think it's actually grounded in reality. Granted, the full moon is in opposition to Jupiter. It's in opposition to Venus. It's an out of sign opposition, but it's within about 3 degrees. So there is this kind of like shoot for, you know, the moon, even if you missed your landing among the stars energy, where there is no wish or manifestation that is too big. You just have to believe. And I don't think that this belief is something that is like wild and, you know, kind of out there. I think it's very much grounded in reality, but it's also very much grounded in faith, in your vision. Because Neptune is basically saying you have to see it before you can actually build it. You have to see it before you can actually, you know, see it come into fruition. You have to believe. So lots of like Jupiter stuff all over this particular full moon. I really recommend watching my full moon in Sagittarius video. I talk all about it. I take you guys through the 12 signs. And we're going to start to see planets now ingress into Gemini. Something else to think about is that Venus is also sextile Neptune, right? So it's not just the sweetness of Jupiter and the Venus conjunction, but Venus is also sextiling Neptune. And Venus and Neptune, they kind of get along well, right? Especially considering the fact that Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces. So I don't mind the sextile. I don't feel like it's going to be super delusional as maybe other Venus-Neptune transits. This is making things very romantic. This is making things very creative, very inspired. You know, dreams can come true with this particular sextile. Great day for a date, great day for going deeper in relationships with other people. There can be some opportunity for some kind of growth together or just within, you know, finances or resources. I think of like how Jupiter is about comedy and things that can be funny. And so Venus conjunct Jupiter isn't just overly indulgent and sweet and about money and resources, but it can be funny. So it's like great time to like go to like a comedy show or, you know, put on a rom-com and like make dinner and have like a romantic date at home. Because Neptune has that kind of connection to movies and music and, you know, anything that's kind of visual. So the sextile, I think, to Venus and Jupiter can be the arts and how some good music or some good comedy or some good drinks or something can really enhance and almost bring people closer together. So there is some aspect of bringing the humor in, or, you know, you might have some amazing coincidence happen and you're just like laughing and you're like, this is just wild that this happened. Like you're just so stunned at how sweet some of the events are that you can just do nothing but laugh. So maybe that's the way we could look at it. I do think that a full moon in Sagittarius is full of adventure. It's very fun. You know, it's time to kind of get off the beaten path and explore. This moon is all about believing just how sweet life can be, letting go of baggage and taking a leap of faith. Like I said, I personally believe this is one of the luckiest full moons in all of 2024. Definitely one of the sweetest ones as well. So you guys will have to let me know how it plays out for you. This very same day, later in the day, we are going to see the moon continue to go through Sagittarius. So it's going to do its thing. Rather unexpected for the most of the day. The only other thing we're going to see is Venus is going to move into the sign of Gemini. Okay. So Venus moves into Gemini, where love is changeable, it's communicating, it's exciting. It's a great time for love letters. It's a great time for letting someone know that you care, making a phone call to a loved one, checking in with friends. Just watch out for double trouble. You know, sometimes there can be too many options or too many choices when it comes to love. Venus going through this sign can be a little bit more fickle and can get easily bored. I am working on a video for you guys for this week, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this particular transit. I do like the fact, though, that, you know, Venus is meeting with Jupiter before it goes into Gemini, so there is something solid there. Like there is some kind of foundation. I'm also really liking the fact that we are going to see Venus, like also Jupiter and the Sun, have a couple of days of a trine to Pluto, which I think is incredibly powerful. It's going to provide a lot of depth in regards to relationship communication. Venus is important to watch because Venus rules the South Node. So whatever's going on with Venus is kind of reverberating off of that South Node in Libra. Can this bring relationships back from the past? Maybe, definitely. I think you're certainly going to see like the twin flame community go absolutely buck wild over the next week or two with the Venus in Gemini, the conjunction to Jupiter. We're going to have a Venus Cazimi in Gemini. So there's definitely going to be a lot of choices, options. I think of like the Lover's card, which can be about temptation. Do I take this job or that job? Do I live here? Do I live there? Do I want this person or that person? It is a mutable sign. So we are going to see some stuff going on there. There is going to be a sense of either talking or thinking about the past or working through the past or dealing with it in some way, because eventually it will aspect the South Node. So that's pretty much it for the 23rd. So that's Thursday. And we will continue to see the moon go through Sagittarius all evening long. We'll pick it back up on Friday the 24th, where in the morning, right off the bat, we're going to see the moon in Sag forming a trine to the North Node in Aries, eventually Mars, and also Chiron. So there's some sweet and salty kind of aspects going on Friday the 24th. Now, I think the positive is that with these fire trines from the moon to all these placements in Aries, it's active, it's daring, it's exciting. When the moon aligns with the North Node at a trine, it's saying through exploring and being more optimistic and focusing on what we believe in, we're able to kind of get ourselves in order. We're able to take action. Moon trine Mars is very passionate. It's definitely feeling very enthusiastic about making changes and being independent and going our own way. Great day for traveling, exploring, anything like that. Learning something new as well. And then we're eventually going to see the moon start coming into a square with Saturn. So that's a little bit of like the salty aspect. While the moon is in Sagittarius, we're looking at what's going on with Jupiter. And Jupiter is in the final moments of Taurus. So we're feeling that critical nature of, okay, we have to complete building something, or resources are very important. Self-esteem is very important. Maybe we're feeling increased cost of things, increased expenses. Definitely there's going to be lots of discussion about increase of rate, for inflation. We're going to hear increased costs for food. We're going to hear, how people are really talking about feeling just financially strapped until Jupiter leaves this particular sign. Jupiter will still be there for a little bit longer, so we're not going to see that change happen while the moon is in Sag. But the moon is going to pick up that square to Saturn, and it looks like that's happening kind of right around early afternoon, midday. So be mindful that when the moon squares Saturn, this makes it more difficult for the moon to do its thing, to be optimistic, to travel, to explore, to learn. There's snags and issues with limitations. There's boundaries, borders, setbacks, delays. If you're trying to fly somewhere around this time, literally, because Sagittarius can be about airplanes and airports, we could see delays and challenges and setbacks or issues getting through security, right? Saturn also, I think, here makes it difficult to emotionally relate, to understand, to be able to empathize, especially when it comes to cultural matters, religious matters, educational or philosophical, kind of discussions. So we definitely see a lot of clash when this kind of happens, especially because Sagittarius deals with, colleges and everything from higher education. So I think we're going to hear more about some of this conflict going on some of these campuses. All right, so that moon square Saturn is going to be midday. It will pass the square, and then right around the evening, we're going to start seeing the moon trine Chiron. And so that's giving us the opportunity to do some self-healing. Great time for like a self-help book, or a great time to be working out and bettering ourselves or learning something at the same time. And that's pretty much the only other aspect that we're going to be seeing for the evening. And this will be taking us now into Saturday the 25th. And on the 25th, we wake up in the morning and the moon is in the late degrees of Sagittarius. So something you're going to see Saturday is that then early in the morning, the moon will square Neptune. For me, this kind of feels as if it's difficult, once again, emotionally relating. You always see that with the moon square, some of these planets in Pisces, but oversleeping, right? Overdoing it. If we went out on Friday night feeling kind of like hungover or under the weather or just kind of wanting to be left alone. Difficult aspect, especially because it's going to hit 29. So you're going to have the moon square Neptune. You're going to have the moon quincunx Jupiter. So we're going to see some more anaretic degrees as well. So that's going to happen sometime right around the kind of like mid-morning on Saturday. The one positive thing that I am liking that's going to happen on this day, though, is that we are going to catch the trine between Venus and Pluto. So Venus in Gemini, like I said, really enhancing communication and relationships. The Venus trine Pluto is going to be about speaking with passion, relating to other people in a passionate way, deep thought-provoking conversations about love and money and values, and it can bring about an exciting exchange of ideas. But Pluto does have a darker side. It does have like a more sinister side. So we can watch out for like intellectual conflicts, like not seeing eye to eye and having the similar opinions, where people's individuals' thoughts and ideas and stuff they have to say can somehow be like overpowered or overrun or kind of canceled or kind of threatened by some kind of groupthink mindset. So we may find that some people are working together and that there are, independent writers and speakers and, people who are in media and things that are contributing to a collective. That's a positive manifestation of the, Sun, Venus, and eventually we'll see some Mercury trine to Pluto where it can be contributing to like a group move. But Venus trine Pluto can also be about money. It can be about wealth, because definitely Pluto is a planet that deals with wealth. And so this can be wealth of information. This can be about being well connected. So I really feel like Venus, which can be about relating, that trine to Pluto is like, if you want to collaborate with somebody, if you want to send an introductory email, if you want to introduce yourself to be able to kind of sell something, if you're wanting to get ready to like launch a website, or if you're a part of like a brand or a group and you want to kind of promote yourself in some way, great time to do that with the Sun or with Venus trine Pluto, to be honest with you guys. But like I said, watch out for what can be sometimes a little bit of intellectual friction that can be happening, especially when it comes to information, news, media. That can definitely be happening with that trine. Now, this very same day, here's what's interesting. Then Jupiter is going to move into Gemini. So let's take a look at what's going on here. So it looks like when Jupiter moves into Gemini, the moon is going to be in Capricorn. So we'll see later in the morning that ingress of the moon into Capricorn, where we're looking at Saturn. Eventually, we'll see planets come into a square with Saturn, but not quite yet. And it looks to me like the moon transit is going to quincunx Venus as well as the Sun. So that's kind of like a funky aspect because we've got the moon that's like eight houses away from Gemini. So it's going to represent a change or a transformation of control, of power, of responsibility. So that may be something that we're discussing out in the world. But when the moon's in Capricorn, we're doing emotional labor. And then by the PM hours on the 25th, so this is on Saturday, Jupiter joins the Gemini party, and we have Sun, Venus, and Jupiter all in conjunction to one another within a couple of degrees. So we've got both Jupiter and Venus under the beams of the Sun. So something is getting ready to emerge. Something's getting ready to be visible. Pretty soon we'll have, in the next week or two, the Venus Cazimi that'll be in Gemini, and that's going to be some new awareness of something emerging that's going to be involving Gemini in some way. So you have to look at your chart. But Jupiter moves into Gemini. So those of you guys who are, Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising, especially the early degrees, the first 5 or so degrees, really prominent time for you. Jupiter's bringing you positivity and optimism and expansion and travel and some sort of new outlook on life. Jupiter ruled charts. So if you happen to be a Sagittarius or a Pisces rising, not only is this important because it's your chart ruler that's on the move, but also it's moving into another mutable sign. So you will be experiencing a Jupiter square or opposition. growing pains basically for you guys. So if you guys haven't already checked out my Jupiter in Gemini video, check it out. I'm gonna do another one, but I did talk about all of the things that have happened in the past with Jupiter and Gemini, and I do tell you guys where it's going through your chart, both in that video as well as in your horoscopes, so you're aware where this new kind of expansion is coming from. Really important, especially considering the fact that Jupiter will only be in a trine to Pluto very briefly. You're only going to get this at the end of May to the beginning of June. So it's a very potent mix with like Venus and Jupiter and the Sun, which is very sweet. And there's a lot of information and communication. Really great for like new websites and launching a second social media platform, or if you're wanting to get on YouTube, or if you want to start writing a book, or if you want to learn a new language. Very short, sweet period of time that's incredibly powerful. We will not get this again because Jupiter will not retrograde to these early degrees and trine Pluto. So make the most of these transits. And check out that Jupiter in Gemini video. All right, so then we're going to take this to Sunday the 26th. Something that you guys are going to see is that the moon is going to continue into Sunday through Capricorn. We wake up in the morning and we're going to see at some point on Sunday, the moon is going to come into a square with the north and the south node. Cardinal sign, cardinal sign, cardinal sign. So this will be a T-square. When the moon squares its own nodes, there's some stuff happening out in the world that's like having some kind of impact karmically on us, where we're moving away from the past and we're moving towards the future. Moon in Capricorn, emotional heavy lifting, right? It's funny because it's on a Sunday. So I'm going to tell you guys first things first, between the moon squaring the nodes, which is going to be about, are we actually stepping up to the plate? Are we being responsible? Are we working through some of these emotional blockages? And also the fact that the moon is going to square Mars and Chiron. This is a day to be productive. This is a day, if this were me, to get something done, to do some kind of work. If you're somebody on Sundays where you're like, I like to do my grocery shopping, or I like to do my meal planning or prepping, or I like to get all of my documents and work, for order, or I like to confirm, my appointments, whatever, do it on Sunday. Trust me, because the way out of this square between the nodes and also Mars and Chiron is the trine that Mercury and the moon are going to make. So we've got the moon in Capricorn where it feels like it needs to be responsible for something, and it's trining Mercury in Taurus, which is about financial management, time management. This can be about business. This can be about getting food or resources in order. This can be about, doing your accounting on Sunday, whatever. Have something to do. That's my advice. So you're not kind of getting stuck up in the moon square, the nodes drama, and you're not getting stuck up in the moon square Mars, where perhaps it's a little emotionally combative, feeling the pressure to kind of get something done. Even though Mars is separating from the North Node conjunction, really actually from the 25th on, 25th, 26th, 27th, Mars is reactivating that solar eclipse that we had in April. So there's a reason why this is going to feel a little bit more intense, is because it's at that same point where we had that very potent solar eclipse in Aries conjunct Chiron. New beginnings when it comes to personal healing and the relationship to ourselves. Well, Sunday we realized nobody's going to come and save us. We have to do it ourselves. If we want to be more productive, more successful, healthier, and more productive, we have to take matters into our own hands. So yes, it's a Sunday where you're going to have to get some work done, but likely if you can kind of communicate and find that you're putting your energy into something, both between the trine to Mercury as well as the sextile to Saturn, you're going to be feeling much better by the end of the day, and you will have moved through something. The only other hurdle that you're going to have to kind of clear is when that moon starts coming into a square, and that'll be with Chiron. And that is going to happen in the PM hours. For some of you guys, it's going to be when you're sleeping. But I do kind of feel like with the moon hitting 22, kind of going into Monday of the following week, it'll be like where, because you didn't take care of something and you didn't confirm something, or you didn't kind of get something completed, then we get into some challenges and we have some problems Monday morning. So it pays to be prepared. Get some of your stuff confirmed early. Get everything organized. Get everything ready to go, and have your week planned out. So that way you can navigate Monday the 27th a little bit better. Because boy, it's looking a little dramatic with that square to Chiron and that conjunction to Pluto. That's basically the week at a glance for you guys. I do want to take you through the 12 rising signs really quick. I would like to show you guys where Venus and Jupiter are coming into conjunction because it's just sweet, and we could really use some good vibes, right, guys? So just as a reminder, I am a Western astrologer. I am going to be showing you guys the conjunction from the whole sign perspective. Personally, I am a Placidus user. When I work with my clients one-on-one, I like to use Placidus. You can use whole sign if you want. I think it really applies in this sense because we are going to be seeing that this conjunction is happening at 29 degrees of Taurus. So it's the very last degree of your whole sign chart. And it's preparing you for the Venus, Jupiter, Sun ingress into Gemini at 0 degrees on. So you can listen to your whole sign. But if you are a Placidus user, you're going to want to know which house is 29 degrees of Taurus. You might have to listen to more than one sign, and that's going to give you some insight as to where this very sweet conjunction is taking place. Now, because it will be at 29 degrees of Taurus, if you have any placements, let's say 27, 28 degrees of Taurus through about 2 degrees of Gemini, because you will have conjunctions to this degree, you will be experiencing this conjunction and you'll have it a little bit stronger. Maybe some of you guys who natally have a Venus-Jupiter conjunction, you're going to feel this a little bit more strongly as well. But Taurus, Libra, Sag, and Pisces, you guys are the ones that I think are going to be feeling this the most. All right, so with that being said, let's get into it. Let's talk really quickly and let you guys know where this is going to be taking place. I'm going to start with my Aries risings, suns, and moons. So for you, Aries, you're going to be experiencing the extra sweet Jupiter-Venus conjunction in your second house of income. So in the second house with Venus and Jupiter aligning, right, you're feeling like you're attracting financial abundance. You're bringing in material wealth. You're going to feel maybe like you're winning the cosmic lottery this week. Something's kind of coming to you, but it may also come with added responsibility of managing these newfound riches. Why? Well, the sextile to Saturn, perhaps. Also, Venus rules your house of relationships. So it can be a relationship, that's coming together that you value. It can be that somebody gives you something of value. It can be that some new partnership is developing, which is bringing you some new resources as well. Okay. So good luck, my Aries and Aries risings. We've got Taurus and Taurus rising. You'll be experiencing the Venus-Jupiter conjunction in your sign, Taurus. Extra sweet for you. I bet you're looking fabulous with this conjunction, especially if you're a Taurus rising. So this will be happening in the first house. You've got Venus in your home sign. It's conjuncting Jupiter. I definitely feel like this conjunction is encouraging you to embrace your inner beauty and your inner charm. So you'll find yourself radiating confidence and attracting lots of attention from other people. I do think it can be about changes and transformations that you're making because of Jupiter's kind of connection to your 8th house, those transformations of who you are, and also be attracting the opportunity to make new friends and connect and collaborate or have new allies because of the connection to the 11th house. But wonderful time for like a makeover, a glow up, a change to your style, your hair, your makeup, what have you. And I would say take a picture because having Venus in your first house conjunct Jupiter can be wonderful for, before and after or transformations or just big changes that you're making and just radiating lots of beauty and charm. Good luck, Taurus. We've got Gemini and Gemini rising. You'll be experiencing the Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Taurus in your natal 12th house. For you guys, this is an interesting place to have it. There definitely can be some like romance going on behind the scenes. But in the 12th house with Venus and Jupiter aligning, I think it can also be about embarking on a journey of self-discovery and some kind of spiritual growth. It's also possible that you'll be, pursuing a guru connection, or you have a new teacher or a mentor, somebody who can be helping you find peace or believing more so in yourself. The 12th house is very spiritual. It's about foreign lands. It's about your subconscious. It can be also about, blessings that are kind of coming from your guardian angels. Jupiter rules your relationships and also your status, so there can be something significant that's about to change or transform in regards to your career or your relationships in a very big way. It has just yet to be seen. Obviously, Gemini, you're getting ready to have Venus, Jupiter, and the Sun come into your sign. So this is also for you guys towards the end of the week when we're having these transits. Wonderful time for photos, for pictures of yourself, new beginnings for you as well. Just looking really, really, really great. And maybe it's just rest, recuperation, or something you're doing behind the scenes that's really allowing you to feel better and recharged. Okay? Good luck, Gemini. We have got Cancer and Cancer rising. You guys are going to be experiencing the Venus-Jupiter conjunction in the sign of Taurus in your natal 11th house. For you guys, this is all about the house of friendships and social networks. So the 11th house with Venus and Jupiter aligning, I believe, is encouraging you to expand your social circle and also strengthen your friendships. There could be a host or, you know, a person that kind of invites you to some kind of grand get-together or party, and maybe connecting with like-minded individuals and making some long-lasting friendships. That's very possible. Sometimes Venus can also be a woman. So because of Venus's connection to your 4th house as well as your 11th house, if you get invited to like a housewarming party or like a barbecue, or maybe there's like a family gathering or a get together, likely it's going to be a beautiful event and you're really going to enjoy yourself. And I think that it's also giving you the opportunity to meet new people. And I think it could be a different caliber or a different class of people. This can be artists or creatives or foodies, or, you know, people who are also into wellness and like natural treatments because of that flavor of Taurus being in your 11th house. Enjoy, Cancer. I hope it's a good one for you. For our Leo and Leo risings, you guys are getting the Venus-Jupiter conjunction in your natal 10th house. Oh, my Leos, this is a big one for you guys because it's all about your career, your responsibility out in the world, and your public image. So having this Venus-Jupiter conjunction in your 10th house is really, really helping you grow and succeed when it comes to your professional life. Likely there will be opportunities to connect with coaches and people who are going to help expand your business or your reputation at work, and also encouraging you to take on new challenges and to manage your public image with grace and confidence. So I like the connection of Venus and Jupiter in the 10th house because it's very visible, but I also like the fact that Jupiter is about making more money and transforming something about your reputation. And then it also has that connection, you know, obviously to Sagittarius, which is going to be about what is showcasing your talent, what's showcasing your creativity, what's helping bring you more joy, where can you kind of be more independent. For those of you guys who are launching your own business, or you're working as an entrepreneur already, or you're working independently, or there's some new avenue when it comes to your work and your career, super sweet for you guys. Embrace change and be open to people who can help navigate and kind of either represent you or guide you, because Jupiter can be like, you know, like the guru. So the sweetness is really coming in, perhaps maybe from a whole year of working on building something, and now it's, you know, becoming more physical and visible. Okay, good luck, Leo. I'm excited to see that for you guys. We've got Virgo and Virgo rising. You'll be experiencing the Venus-Jupiter conjunction in the sign of Taurus in your natal 9th house. So you and Capricorn, you're going to be benefiting from this, especially if you're a late degree Virgo, because, well, the conjunction is happening in Taurus, which is a fellow earth sign. So if you're a late degree Virgo, you'll be experiencing some trines to your sun, moon, or rising. But having the Venus-Jupiter conjunction in the 9th house, I think, is actually really wonderful. Jupiter loves being in the 9th house. It's associated traditionally with that house where it really can expand your horizons. And whether that's going back to school, learning, traveling, you know, shifting something about your belief system or your philosophy, it's really doing some amazing things here. So when it meets up with Venus, really what it's doing is it's bringing resources or newfound self-esteem, new possessions, new kind of personal growth. And it's also bringing the opportunity for travel and belief system and philosophy into the 9th house. So for you guys, I think that this conjunction is encouraging you to explore new culture, expand your horizons. They almost will kind of like act like your travel agents in a way, where they're pushing you to seek new experiences and broadening your perspectives. This can be very favorable for those of you guys who are teachers, or if you work in education, if you work in publishing, if you teach something to other people in general, if you're involved in law or legality type of situations. And if you're looking to meet somebody, love can definitely be on the horizon, and it could be somebody you meet while you're traveling, because Jupiter's connection traditionally to your 7th house, which is about relationships. And also this can be about either moving or relocating or seeking a new place in a new location, and then you meet somebody because of the connection to your 4th house, Jupiter. Good luck, Virgo. I hope it's a good one for you guys. And you guys have lots of change coming. You got those transits in Gemini coming in your 10th house. So it's going to be a big career year for you. Some of you guys are like graduating or completing training programs or something before getting a new job. So that could be part of this as well. We've got Libra and Libra rising. What's up, Libra? You're going to be experiencing Venus conjunct the Jupiter transit in Taurus in your natal 8th house. So for you guys, this is going to be interesting. Obviously, Venus is the faster moving planet. So, you know, you and Taurus rising are Venus. So you're meeting up with Jupiter in your 8th house. Well, what does this mean? Well, Venus is you, so it rules your 1st house in your body. It also connects to your 8th house of other people's resources. So taxes, inheritances, joint resources. This is also about intimacy. This is about transformation. This is about growth and investments. I think Venus and Jupiter meeting here might throw you a very mysterious curveball where you're encouraged to embrace vulnerability and explore the depths of your relationships. Whether that's romantic relationships, committed relationships, you know, financial partnerships, what have you. Topics of intimacy, joint resources, and other people's wealth are definitely going to come up, and it's going to be a blessing for you. So you're going to be receiving some kind of support or growth through another person. Now, something to think about is that Jupiter rules your 3rd house. So if you have an online business, a YouTube channel, if you have a website that you run, if you have a blog, anything like that, you may see growth within that business. You might start making more money within that business. The other thing to think about is that Jupiter also is connected to your 6th house of health and daily routine. So it can also mean that you're spending more money when it comes to health or productivity or detoxing or something of that nature. Spending more money connecting to traveling can happen here as well. Watch for emails, conversations, phone calls, you know, conversations with extended family members about something you're receiving. They might bring it up in conversation or let you know, or you get like a letter about, you know, something that you're going to be receiving from someone. Because the 8th house can be about inheritances in some certain situations. Even if it's something that you get early, it doesn't have to necessarily mean death, but it can mean that you're getting insight about something coming your way. Anyway, good luck, Libra. I hope it's a good one for you. We've got Scorpio and Scorpio rising. You'll be experiencing Venus conjunct Jupiter in the sign of Taurus in your natal 7th house. So for you, my Scorpios and Scorpio risings, this is obviously happening in your opposite sign. This is going to be very interesting to see what happens because the moon is going to be going through your sign when we see this conjunction that's taking place. So that's interesting. So basically for you in the 7th house, you know, Venus and Jupiter coming together, I think it's helping you form and strengthen partnerships. So if you're single, it's a good transit for meeting someone because Venus is in its home sign in the 7th house, extra sweet, great for partnerships and relationships. Meeting with Jupiter. Jupiter is the 2nd house lord, which is about money and resources. So my Scorpio risings, if you have a client-based business, you're going to notice that there's going to be an uptick in clients and people who are wanting to pay for your services. If you are single and you're looking for someone, likely this is a transit that will bring you a chance opportunity to connect with someone. But equally, this can mean that you're bringing in, you know, partnerships that are higher quality, right? Because Jupiter can be about quality. You might be meeting foreigners. You might be meeting people who are wealthy. You can be meeting people who have a wealth of knowledge and information, or they travel a lot because of the conjunction with Jupiter. I like it for a number of reasons, not just because the 2nd house can talk about people coming in who want to build with you, especially because Jupiter is going to go into your 8th house of joint resources, but this can bring in partners who are saying, let's start a business, let's make money together, let's invest money together. It can bring in business partnerships as well. So it can be very lucrative. But I also like the fact that Jupiter rules your 5th house traditionally. So this is a really good indication of bonds and relationships becoming stronger. So existing relationships might take the next steps in commitment. They can talk about getting married or moving in together or having kids. And I really see this as like a very creative and a very romantic energy for Scorpio risings, because it's about really your dreams and relationships becoming a reality in some way. So yeah, it'll encourage you to go deeper with your connections. It's also about managing shared resources wisely. I think the key here, Scorpio, is just to communicate openly with your partners and be very honest about your thoughts and your feelings and your ideas. Obviously, there's so many planets in your 7th house. There's a huge emphasis on your partners right now, but it's going to be very much with the 22nd and the 23rd because of the moon, how you're relating to these other people. Right? And then that full moon that's going to be in Sagittarius is about big changes with money and resources. You might be making an investment of some kind, but likely Jupiter seems to suggest that it's going to pay off for you. Good luck, Scorpio. We've got Sag and Sag rising. You'll be experiencing the Venus-Jupiter conjunction in the sign of Taurus in your natal 6th house. Obviously big for you, Sagittarius, because Jupiter rules your chart. So Venus coming into conjunction with Jupiter is extra sweet for you. The 6th house is an interesting place because this can be about work, and more work, your to-do list, your health, your office space, taking care of your plants and your animals and all that fun stuff. But I think the conjunction is really about focusing on your health and your overall well-being. So it may be that you're working with personal trainers, or you're pushing yourself to adopt healthier habits or to find more satisfaction in your daily routines. And like that's going to take work for you. Maybe you're making more time for pleasure, more time for, dating, for love, for extracurriculars, what have you. Because after all, Taurus is about indulging and enjoying a little bit more. Some of you guys may find that because Venus rules your 11th house of goals and friendships, and it's also about your 6th house of work and routine, you're going to the gym with a friend, you're starting a new health regimen, maybe you're getting a new job, you've had an expansion at work, maybe you're working with a friend, or you make a new friend through work. That could happen here as well. But Venus is bringing you the sweetness. So it could just be as simple as being like, I'm trying to focus on my health, and people are bringing donuts into the office. It could be like, this is great. But 6th house is super focused on health and productivity and routine. For most of you guys, it's definitely an omen of positive health. So if you've been having some health challenges, this does seem to be something that's really positive and finally starting to see your results paying off, if you're trying to kind of cut back on certain habits or just focus on health and diet and exercise. Good luck, Sagittarius. Definitely a good one for you guys. We've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. You'll be experiencing the Venus-Jupiter conjunction in the sign of Taurus in your 5th house. This is also in a fellow earth sign. So if you're a late degree Capricorn rising, 28, 29 degrees, you're going to be benefiting from this particular transit because you'll have a trine. So for you, my Capricorns, I love this conjunction for you. I've talked about the Sun-Jupiter conjunction, I think this last week. Some more of similar things. The 5th house obviously is about the house of pleasure, right? So whether it's dating, whether it's sex, if it's gambling, if it's investing, if it's having fun, it could be about playtime, self-expression. Venus and Jupiter kind of coming into conjunction here is definitely going to turn up the volume on your creativity and pleasure seeking. And you may find yourself more inclined to pursue hobbies and romance. Just remember to have fun responsibly, because there can be a sense of overdoing it in this house. Now, I say that because Jupiter rules your 12th house of the subconscious. So there can be this side of you that's just like, I want to party, I want to cut loose. I want to do all of the things. And it can be about investing. It can be about gambling with Taurus in the 5th house. It can be also about having fun in ways that's somehow connected to food or to hobbies that involve food or earthly things. So it could be aromatherapy, it could be crystals, it could be gardening, cooking, that kind of stuff. Jupiter also has a connection to the 3rd house. So I feel like it could be you're feeling a little bit more risky in, the text that you're sending, and you're getting kind of spicy with other people. You could be feeling as if you're more willing to express yourself and you're doing some creative writing. That's another way that this can kind of manifest, especially with Mercury being in the 5th house. But I do think that like hidden talents can kind of come out with Jupiter being in the 5th as well. Big transit for pregnancy, big transit for meeting people and falling in love. You know, Venus is about your status, right, in the world. And it also has connections to creativity. So there can be changes in relationship status, changes in status going from, you know, just kind of being on your own to being a parent. And this can also be huge changes where, you know, pleasure or passion projects can turn into your own business. And it can be, that's the change in status where suddenly something new is emerging that you have created for yourself. So love this transit for you guys. Love the fact that there's sextiles to Saturn and also trines to your ascendant. It's not as buck wild as it typically would be with this conjunction. And I feel like there's something in alignment where the way that you're communicating and sharing your ideas is definitely really helping harness kind of like this creative energy in your 5th house. Good luck, Capricorn. We've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. You guys will be experiencing the Jupiter-Venus conjunction in your natal 4th house. All right, so you want to think a little bit about what's been happening recently with Venus conjunct Uranus. You've been experiencing this the last couple of days. So Venus has already touched on your chart ruler, and it's been bringing you some sudden, unexpected, surprising, exciting things going on with home and family. As Venus comes into conjunction with Jupiter, it's going to be now the sweetness or the making up or like the positive things that come from these sudden dramatic changes that you're making when it comes to your private world, your home, your house, your family, that stuff. You know, Venus for you rules your 4th house of home and family as well as the 9th house. It does seem like there can be visitors or people who are coming in that you're going to be meeting that might be kind of traveling and coming through that you're going to connect with that you haven't seen for a while. Female relatives can come and visit. Female, you know, relationships or romantic relationships from afar can kind of come and visit as well. This can also be about in-laws because it's the ruler of the 9th house. And we've got the conjunction to Jupiter, which rules your 2nd house of money and resources and also friendship. So whoever's coming is going to come bearing gifts, right? So if you're like, family's coming to stay with me, they're going to bring flowers, they're going to bring snacks, they're going to bring good music, good wine, because Venus and Jupiter in the 4th house is going to enhance something about the home and the family. This can be offers for property and real estate. This can be finding rentals if you're wanting to rent a property or a home. This can be accumulating stuff for your home, decorating your home. So I really feel like it's adding some sense of value. So it's good for real estate matters. It's good for home matters. It's also great for just having beautiful opportunities to kind of connect with friends and family and some kind of expansion or blessing that's coming to your private life within the 4th house. Pretty soon, we're going to see this drop, this Jupiter-Venus transit into your 5th house, and it's going to trine Pluto on your ascendant. So to me, it seems like this expansion that's going on within your home or your family could be tied to a romantic partner, could be tied to good news for one of your kids, could be tied to, you know, having a child kind of come into the family. So that preparation of what's kind of going on in the 4th house is for these things. So watch for the good news that's going to come through. And those of you guys who have been wanting to move, relocate, redecorate your space, or just have more peaceful kind of relationships with people in the family, it definitely looks like that's coming for you guys. Enjoy. And we have Pisces and Pisces rising. You guys will be experiencing the Venus-Jupiter conjunction in the sign of Taurus in your natal 3rd house. Super sweet for you, Pisces. You're ruled by Jupiter traditionally. So Jupiter rules your 1st house of the self and the body. So wherever Jupiter is where you are. Venus is about indulging. It's about luxury. It's about having nice things. It's connected to your 8th house of other people's resources and your 3rd house of communication. I like this transit for, you know, people who are wanting to write to you or talk to you and tell you how they feel. I like this transit for bettering relationships with siblings or neighbors. I love this transit for buying yourself a nice ring or a nice watch or something. 3rd house can be the wrists or the hands. It could be you're getting a new phone, you're getting a new car, you know, you're upgrading a lease, something like that. If you've been wanting to move, it could be that. And it can also be a transit where people are getting back to and saying to you like, hey, you know, I've got resources for you, or I'm paying you back, or you know, getting the green light on a loan, or something that's going to help you expand your resources, right? If you're wanting to learn something or write something, this is the time to do it. If you're wanting to, you know, plan a move, this is the time to do it. Just keep in mind that, you know, these conjunctions that are happening are sextiling Neptune in your sign. So there's a lot of your intuition coming into play about being like, I really feel like I'm supposed to move here, or I really feel like I'm supposed to call this person, or I'm going to hear from somebody. Like, your intuition is playing into the conjunction in the third house. This can make you very inspired. It can make you feel very creative. I also feel like this is an opportunity where it's going to enhance your communication skills, and it can make you very charming when it comes to communicating with other people. Just keep in mind, right, that the sextiles to Saturn and Neptune is saying, like, know when to speak and then when not to speak. Say what you have to say and then let other people kind of present an offer. Intuitively feel out some of these conversations when it comes to third house topics. Wonderful time for, you know, starting podcasts, you know, launching YouTubes, websites, things like that, because I feel like it's going to bring a lot of eyes to whatever you're talking about, or whatever you're sharing, or whatever you're teaching, or whatever you're selling, right? Jupiter is connected to your 10th house of career. So you might be making some big announcement about your business, or some big announcement about, you know, some job you're taking, or you're signing a very significant contract that can be beneficial, can be giving you a higher salary or a better pay, and you want to share the news with people. So watch for that. I do think it's going to be good for you. And yeah, if you guys end up getting a new car under this transit, I'd love to hear what you get, and just all the bells and the whistles that you're probably going to put on this car with Venus conjunct Jupiter, where you're like, it needs to have the seats and the this and the that. All the luxury side of things kind of happens with that Venus Jupiter conjunction. Anyway, good luck, Pisces. I hope it's a sweet one for you guys. I'm pretty confident it's going to be a sweet one for everybody. And I'm really interested to see how this kind of comes full circle during this full moon in Sagittarius. So don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let me know, how do you guys feel with these energies in this next week? What are you thinking? What do you make of all these anaretic degrees? And what do you guys think about Jupiter going into Gemini? What are you excited for? It's definitely going to be a very powerful time with some of those trines to Pluto. I hope that you guys have an awesome week ahead. You guys can catch me here on Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays, and Sundays. I will be doing tarot readings in this next week, so make sure you catch that. I'll be here Friday doing tarot. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your week. I will see all of you guys here very soon. Take care.